And we have Wolfgang Van Halen joining us from Mammoth today to talk about the new record, The End. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate you taking the time.
Thanks for having
Just wanted to jump right in. I think that this record feels sort of like a statement for you guys. Obviously, you dropped the WVH from the name after the trademark dispute, but it sounds like you've really sort of fine-tuned the sound and sort of come into your own and really embrace the elements that make Mammoth special in this one.
Yeah, it feels it feels like we're in a really good spot right now. It feels like we've reached the best version of ourselves so far. I'm really proud of this record and where we're at. It feels really good. I'm excited for everybody to hear the record.
How do you view this record in terms of the overall evolution of Mammoth?
I think in a certain way, it's almost like I mean, a kind of a rebirth almost, without the WVH there. It's our first titled record. I think a lot of people going into this were expecting a Mammoth III, and I felt through the recording process, it's sort of so much, sort of new vibes and feelings and stuff came through the process that it just felt it wasn't right. Like it was too much of an evolution from the last two that it became its own, moving in its own direction. So that's why it felt, I don't even the title itself is almost in a way referring to, it's the end of the old and into a sort of new era, so to speak, for the band.
So does it feel sort of like a rebirth to a certain extent?
Yeah, definitely. I could say that. I think there's an evolution of all sorts of stuff on this record, from the songwriting to just the overall, I think the construction of the record, the writing process was a bit different. The pre-production, I think, was a different process that really made the whole thing a bit, I think it affected the record for the better. I think, I don't know, it feels like we're in a really good spot. And I've really noticed this time around, like people have really, more than any other record, have really taken notice to the songs. Like like if you look at our YouTube, like there's a lot of people watching it, which is really surprising to me. It's kind of crazy to see. The last three songs we've put out as some of our, because you can look at like the data of all the, like how it's compared to all of your other videos, and these last three have been like some of the biggest videos we've had in terms of the amount of time they've been out. So it's kind of crazy. I didn't expect it.
You mentioned the video, and the video for The End was directed by Robert Rodriguez and From Dusk to Dawn. It's definitely got that cinematic vibe to it. Tell me how that came about, and
yeah, that was he came to a show, I think like about two and a half, 3 years ago, and we just hit it off. He's just a really great dude, and I'm such a huge fan of his. I've been a huge fan of his since I was a kid with like Spy Kids, and From Dusk Till Dawn is one of my favorite movies, and I always had in the back of my mind, it was just like, man, it would be really cool if he ever wanted to do something. It would be awesome. And he'd even joked around and brought it up, and I was just like, no, he doesn't really mean that. But then I remember when I had the demos for the record, I went over to his house and I showed him some of the stuff, and he really enjoyed it. So by the time we had the record done, and The End looked like it was going to be the single and the first thing and everything, I sent it over and I just shot my shot, and I was like, hey man, would you be at all interested? It's totally cool if you're not. I have this idea, since I love, From Dusk Till Dawn, like, would you be into like doing like an homage parody, like a thriller From Dusk Till Dawn zombie thing? And he was into it. And so we ended up having this crazy 2-day shoot. He called Greg Nicotero, he called Danny Trejo, and I called everybody I could. And we just had this insane, hilarious, fun 2-day shoot. It was just so fun, man. He's such a great guy. All those dudes are.
So many legends involved in that. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was insane.
So with all those people involved, obviously Halloween's just around the corner. Are you a big horror fan? Like, what's your Halloween plan?
Well, our Halloween plan is our first show of the tour is on Halloween in I believe it's around Palm Springs. So that's going to be fun. So I think we need to probably do something for that. I'll figure it out when the guys get here for rehearsal, but we should probably do something during that show.
Yeah, you got to pick out your costume.
Yeah.
Circling back to the music for a second, on Mammoth 2, I know you drew inspiration on the heavier moments from Meshuggah. This new record seems to embrace the more melodic side and some incredible guitar work throughout this record. What sparked the decision to sort of lean into those melodic elements this time around?
I don't know. I think I always try to do that to a certain extent. I think the mission statement with Mammoth is at least what I like to try to do, is to try and be able to have melody, but also have the heaviness and not have either one sort of override each other. They can kind of coexist together and bring out the best in one another. But I think with this album, with the second album, I was definitely, it had been a while. I hadn't recorded since 2018. That's when I finished the first record, even though it came out in 21. So I was just hungry to get back in the studio. And I think that's why a lot of the material ended up being pretty aggressive and heavier. But this time around, I think it was just more about, it usually is about the songwriting aspect. And I think it just, I had more time to slow down and sort of figure out exactly what I wanted to do. And I think that allowed me to experiment a bit more, because there are heavy moments, like from the second record. But I think overall, it's a more full, well-rounded record. I think it could be recency bias. Who knows? Ask me in a couple of years, but I think it's our best record so far. So I'm excited.
You had the multiple runs with Creed and Metallica. Did playing those big arenas and stadiums influence you at all in terms of the songwriting, especially when it comes to how certain songs connect with that massive of an audience?
I'm not sure. I think we were just happy and scared and to just do these crazy shows. Especially the Metallica tour. That stage was insane, and to be able to be a part of that was crazy. But yeah, I think overall my songwriting has shifted slightly since we've started touring to more thinking like, oh man, this will be a cool, if only just to touch on a thing and be like, oh, I know this would be a cool moment live, but not really, influencing everything. It's just a matter of picking moments out and being like, oh, I think that'll be pretty cool. Because with the first record we hadn't toured yet. I had toured, but Mammoth hadn't toured, and I think that's where a lot of that came in from the second record, and then now this one too. So,
you play and perform all the instruments and work with Elvis Basquiat on the record. Why is that process the process that seems to work best for you in terms of is executing your creative vision?
That's what it's been from the beginning. I think that's where Mammoth was born, and so I think doing anything else would make it not Mammoth. And I guess I'm not ready to change it up that much. I feel like this is what works, and we're only getting better. So I feel like I still have a lot to learn and a lot to prove. But I'm really happy with where we're at, and it's just a really creatively fulfilling thing. Initially it was just a challenge to myself with that first record to see if I could do it. Inspired by Dave Grohl and that first Foos record. But I think realizing that I do not only that I can do it, but I really enjoy it. And I'm just finding new ways to do it, that it's just what I think is what makes it all work right now.
Can you talk about that relationship with Michael Basquiat? I recently did an interview with one of the guys from Biohazard talking about working with Matt Hyde on his new record, and Billy from Biohazard is also a producer, and he was saying sometimes you need that friction with a producer to just sort of draw out the best performances from people. What is it about your working relationship with Michael that draws the best elements out of you?
I think that's the most important. I think a lot of people, when they see that it's just me playing everything, they think, oh, you need that creative friction between band members. I think that's bullshit. I think that just is unnecessary drama. And I think art is an honest thing that doesn't need to come from people hating each other in order to be valid. And I think Elvis he's the one who can see the bigger picture, and he can see what I'm capable of before I can see it. And we've been working together at this point for a decade now, and we're we're so close, we can finish each other's sentences and thoughts. And I think that type of trust and communication with somebody in a creative process, something as vulnerable as a creative process, like making a record, is incredibly important. And he is that other half in the studio for me. He fills that half of that band that isn't there, since I'm playing everything. So he helps keep me from doubting myself. He helps push me when he sees I can do things, and he's, we have plenty of disagreements on where songs should go, and it's just a part of the creative process. But I think we just work together so well, and we have an overall excitement and I don't know, just for the creative vision of I think a lot of people, there's sometimes where you work with somebody where they, I've worked with people before where they change something in a song, and it's just because so they can say they did it. And it's like, that part is what I did. And Elvis is not that kind of guy. He's the guy who works for the betterment of the overall song. And that's the kind of person you want to work with. And he is that guy. And it's just, I don't want to work with anybody else. We've really got it working out with this. Very happy with it.
There's definitely a movement towards like the writer room sort of scenario where there's a ton of people, sitting around throwing out ideas and bouncing off each other to sort of build the song. So it's unique in the sense that it's just you two, and that doesn't seem to happen very much.
Yeah, I think you lose. I don't know. That could just be. I just think you see, like when you see like, some pop music today and you look in the credits and there's like 18 different producers for a 2.5-minute song. I think you lost the plot a little bit. I think it's kind of crazy, but I mean, it obviously works for them. And I think this works for us. I'm happy with this. And I think it's, I don't know. I really enjoy working with Elvis, and I just don't see me doing it with anybody else. It's me. I call him Elvis is his nickname. I know his name's Michael, but nobody calls him Michael. It's Elvis, Jeff, our engineer, and Josh, Elvis's assistant. So it's really just the four of us up there, and it just feels like we're hanging out, having a good time, laughing and working. And then, about 2.5, 3 months later, you get a Mammoth record. So it's fun.
Do you ever foresee a day where you could write songs for other people?
Sure, I think that's possible. I just think as it is, and as my own artist, I feel like I haven't proven myself enough to start mingling with others or collab. I don't know. It just feels like I haven't done enough on my own to start adventuring out.
Obviously, you recorded at 5150. What is it about that studio that just is so special for somebody who's never been there and sort of taken it in?
Well, for me, it's home. I grew up in it. So having that comfortability is very important, but at the same time, it almost feels like an important duty being in there and making sure that I fill the place with music and creativity, and it feels like I'm doing what I should be doing, even more than if I was just recording anywhere else. So it just feels right, and it feels comfortable, and it's. I wouldn't want to do it anywhere else, at least when it comes to Mammoth.
You guys are constantly on the road, capturing ideas, and when inspiration strikes is, I'm sure, can be daunting. I remember hearing that Dimebag Darrell used to keep a guitar in his bathroom so he could work through riffs when inspiration hit. What's your go-to for capturing idea when lightning strikes?
Usually, ever since the iPhone added that little extra button right there, I have it set to it goes into a recording thing, so I'm able to just do that really quickly if there's a quick moment that where I just have a guitar riff or a melody or something. So my voice memos are just filled with just hundreds of random ideas, that because in the moment you don't know if it's good or not. I've had so many songs come from an idea that I initially was like, this isn't really good, but I'll keep it here. And then it became, something crazy. So it's always important enough, or even when you have an idea where you're like, that's good, I'm never going to forget it. And then you forget it. It's just always important to write any idea down. And that's me, quote unquote, writing it down. So usually I'll just do it there. But I don't know. I think when I'm on the road, I'm usually very road focused. So it's like, while you can't really rush a creative idea or process, you almost have to like, it's almost like just like turning your idea beacon on, you know? And if I know I'm going to be in the studio in a couple months, then I'll start pouring over other ideas that I have and just kind of getting in that creative mindset. But when I'm on tour, I'm very much focused on making sure I'm ready for the next show and very into that. So I usually come up with more ideas when I'm home and in that headspace than on tour. But I mean, that still has happened where I just get a random idea here and there.
It's interesting you messaged that because you mentioned that just because some people have said like, you know, they're almost like a vessel for the music, and it's like, you know, having your transistor on so you can receive that transmission when it comes.
Oh, I agree with that 100%. It does sound a little pretentious, but I think Bob Dylan had a really great quote where he was like, you know, if I knew where the good ideas came from, I'd write more of them. You know, where you're just kind of, I feel like when you're working on a song, it's not so much you're working on it as it is showing itself to you. And it's because I think that's sometimes where like your favorite idea can end up being your least favorite song on the record because it just happens that way. I think you're almost, it's just like a piece of marble and you're chipping away at it rather than building something. You know what I mean? It just kind of, the idea shows itself to you through the process rather than you creating it. So at least that's what it feels like, even though that might be a little poetically, you know, up my ass in a way of saying that.
But going through those voice memos, like it's almost like a fate thing where like if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, right? Where you know, maybe some of those voice notes might be, you know, on the next Mammoth record or 2 records from now.
Well, yeah, and I think the thing that's always really good is that every time we get together, we end up writing, you know, 10 more songs for the record. But there's about every record, there's about 2 to 5 ideas that kind of fall off the wayside because we just didn't have enough time. Like the ideas were great, but they never showed themselves in time, I guess. And that happens every record. So at this point, we have this like mini vault of ideas that are inspiring but not finished. And so eventually you might hear it again and hear it in a different light, and it's like, oh, that's what it's missing, and then you put it together and it ends up on a record. So I think right now, if I didn't come up with any new ideas, we'd have enough for a 4th record. But by the time I know we get to that recording time, be it in 2 years or whenever we do, I'll have written 10 to 15 more ideas. So you're kind of always on this creative overflow, which is a nice thing to have, where, you know, if you can just have enough ideas where you can throw something at the wall and see if it sticks.
Are you the type of person that works best under a deadline where you have to cap it at a certain point, or you'll just continue writing?
It's tough. I think having Elvis there is really that he's like shockingly good at like writing out the schedule. Like he'll usually at the top of our 3 months we have working for the record, he'll have like a daily schedule of everything we'll do. And we're almost following exactly or beating it to a certain extent. So we're able to like, we only have these few days left. We should probably, you know, take this song and shelve it for later. And he's really good at planning. So if he wasn't there, I'd probably get in my head and lose track. But you know, when you're with a label, you have to make sure you have a record by the time you're done recording. So I remember we were in the studio at like 3 a.m. before everybody had to go home the next day. And that was the solo for Better Off on the record. We hadn't had it yet, and I didn't know what to do. I just couldn't think of anything. So we were just sitting in the studio for like an hour and a half at 3 a.m. and just throwing stuff at the wall, and it finally hit. So yeah, it was down to the wire with certain songs, but it's just funny how that happens. It's just like any sort of creative effort, I guess.
You have the upcoming tour, and this record, I think, is one of those records you can put on, play front to back. I could see you performing any of them live. Have you sort of dove into set lists? And at this point, how do you pick a set list with the new stuff as well?
It's tough. You know, now it's more about picking what songs we don't play, which is crazy that we finally made it to have, you know, so many songs. But at the same time, I think, you know, we're still a baby band, at least in my eyes, that we still have a lot to prove live and material wise. So I would personally like to play a lot of the new material if we could. So I know we're definitely going to try and fit what we can, especially with it being a headline set. We'll be able to play stuff that people want to hear, and then some of the new stuff. But I mean, the tours that we've done already, so the new songs that we've played, The Spell and The End, have been some of the best received live, even to people who haven't seen us before. So we'll definitely want to. I'm personally very excited to play a lot of the new material. I think people are going to really like it, even if they don't, if they haven't heard it.
We were talking about this before, but you're up there playing with Metallica, Creed, like all these heavy hitters. The one thing that comes through is how great you are live, and like I think seeing the live show definitely sells it for you guys. Do you have to have sort of that proving yourself mentality or attitude when you go into a show every time, even a headline show?
Yeah, it's very important. I think disappointingly, I think there's a lot of bands out there that take the easy way out and use tracks and stuff like that, and we don't do that. We play to a click track in our ears, and that's it. You know, we don't have anything. I think when you're up there and you're pretending while something else is coming through the speakers, I think that's a little lame. I can understand if you need, like, nobody can bring a 50-piece orchestra with them, so it's if you need some strings in there and stuff, I can understand that. But like, I don't know. I think we've over the close to 400 shows we've played now, we've been playing for 4 years, that we've really taken pride in the fact that we are a very performance focused band. We get up there and we just try to play to the best of our ability. And I mean, that's how I like to mirror our band off of bands that I'm really, smitten with, like Foo Fighters or, Meshuggah or Tool. They just kind of get up there and they just play the hell out of their stuff. And there's no smoke and mirrors, no tracks to really mask what they're doing. They're just, they're up there and they're killing it. And that's what we try to aspire to be.
But the imperfections and the spontaneity of like a live show, that's what makes it special.
Yeah. And I think that's great. Whenever we make a mistake and it's obvious, it's like, well, you know what? At least they know we're playing live.
I know you got to run in a minute. I just wanted to wrap this up with, I know he had the honor of playing tribute to Ozzy Osbourne for his Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction before he passed. Did you have a chance to see the recent Paramount doc that just came out, where it was like the 2 years leading into it?
But somebody sent me a clip that I didn't realize I was actually in it, because I forgot they were filming during like the rehearsals and stuff. And I think it was when we were all flipping off Ross, the photographer, during that photo shoot, which was that was a lot of fun. It was a really crazy thing to be a part of, to be asked by Sharon and Ozzy to play one of the most iconic guitar solos in his catalog was something I did not take lightly. And then finding out I was playing it with one of my favorite singers of all time, Maynard from Tool, definitely an out-of-body experience. So it was I was very honored to do it, and I was very, very happy I got to spend some time with Ozzy after we played that night, and just be able to spend a little bit of time with him. And it was nice, especially since I wasn't able to do the Back to the Beginning show. It was really, I was very happy I was able to see him and before everything happened.
Yeah, the Paramount doc is great. It sort of chronicles the 2 years leading in. There's a lot of footage from that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction. It's a really cool doc. Emotional at times, for sure.
Yeah. Oh man, I gotta check it out.
So, well, hey, thank you for joining us today. I appreciate it. The new record's awesome. You guys are killers live. So anybody out there that can go check out a live show, you have to, because Mammoth definitely slays. So
thank you.
Hey, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, man.